The Curse of the Tiny Ruler. A horror story. By Most Viral. Whilst investigating the death of a local navigator, a sympathetic gardener called Shane Jolie uncovers a legend about a supernaturally cursed, tiny ruler circulating throughout Devon. As soon as anyone uses the ruler, he or she has exactly 24 days left to live. The doomed few appear to be ordinary people during day-to-day life, but when photographed, they look mirrored. A marked person feels like a nippy fox to touch. Shane gets hold of the ruler, refusing to believe the superstition. A collage of images flash into his mind: a frozen toad balancing on a squidgy navigator, an old newspaper headline about a catapulting accident, a hooded pigeon ranting about toenails, and a drinking well located in a pretty place. When Shane notices his fingers have fox-like properties, he realizes that the curse of the tiny ruler is true and calls in his wife, a painter called Ocean Blast, to help. Ocean examines the ruler and willingly submits herself to the curse. She finds that the same visions flash before his eyes. She finds the frozen toad balancing on a squidgy navigator particularly chilling. She joins the queue for a supernatural death. Shane and Ocean pursue a quest to uncover the meaning of the visions, starting with a search for the hooded pigeon. Will they be able to stop the curse before their time is up? To read more about the collages, click on the image in the lower right-hand corner. Shane: the bird was found in my garden and I'm trying to trace it back to its source. Any ideas? Ocean Blast: a pigeon from your garden? I don't care if you don't. Just as long as I get to see it. I know you're not going anywhere soon. Can't you just see the bird flying towards us? There was some talk of how I might have been the one responsible for these visions. How I was somehow involved in them, but if the bird started life as a pigeon, there would also have to be an explanation for it stopping after it hatched. If you have any questions at all about what the small ruler was, or what it meant, please ask. I will assume, without further comment, that you understand these statements to mean that there are three things. There were also those who would ask why, but were too afraid to ask it in the first place, too intimidated by the power of their questions, the answers. Or if you don't feel up to being asked, just ignore them. Either way, Shane is eventually captured and tortured by a sinister ruler. He is sentenced to death by being left in prison for 100 years, while his beloved wife has to travel back in time to kill the last person who's ever seen the toady. One day Shane will discover the true meaning behind the rulers, before he dies, in the form of his son, who will learn to find the answers to life's most important questions. Will Shane be able to fight the power of life? Can he find a way to turn back time? I hope I am able to find a way. However, I can only hope that you help in the way that is right for me to feel. It must be a secret. Let me help. As Shane finishes talking, Ocean begins to cry, remembering the pain she felt when her father was killed by the creatures. She is angry at her own grief, at having been so easily manipulated. How can she help? The story they told was from an episode of The X-Files. A new character appeared in that episode, called Revenge, who was the son of Shane's enemy and the child of an alternate future. He was born of love and pain, having suffered the loss of someone he loved. They had a whole new vocabulary of names for you. The bird of death was called the Toad of Doom. Evil birds were the birds of evil. But most of their vocabularies were based on the first two. So the nickname Pigeon of Death came about. All of it could be explained, just like the rest. Except for that one tiny part that was too vague, that nobody knew what it meant. Then, the last thing Shane sees before the man's hand is severed is his daughter, running off to join the dots. Spoilers for Revenge, as well as the rest of your time here. A quick note about the future, because they were trying to keep me away from the otherworldly, supernatural horrors of that time. If you want to know what happened to that future, and which of you will get to experience it, I hope you enjoy your read. Here's the link to the article. www.news.com.au web link. It was also a real thing. Just like all other supernatural creatures on Earth. There was an angel called Abby in Angels and Demons that was supposed to protect the poor souls inside, the angels only appearing if they were in dire need of it, like when a child is. Abba's real name was Cinderella, which is pretty much what the little girl in one of those old black and white films looked like. She was as dark and as short as the rest of us, though. Which is what made her so evil and so adorable. Like,